I guess then to get me started, so I realized Still just dropped last year. You had the deluxe edition drop since. You've been putting stuff out pretty steadily, so maybe it's not that stark of a contrast. But yeah, we heard Dollars and Cents. Know you've got a new LP coming up in the next few months. How does this new collection maybe most significantly differ from what we've heard from you so as far as you see it?
Yeah, I'm definitely being more experimental with these songs, trying uh, different, blending different genres that I love listening to.
Mhm.
I have some Afrobeat stuff. I got some grime sounding music on there, more R&B pockets. I'm basically just showing the breadth of my artistry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's a good place to jump on then. Yeah, you've said in the past that Andre 3000 is a particularly strong influence of yours, and pretty much the embodiment of eclectic there, like seemingly no boundaries on what he would try. And you've already shown, I mean, a lot of your work, you can weave in and out of so many different styles. I guess I'm wondering, like at this point, do you still see that signature sound of yours, is that still evolving significantly, or do you think that you've kind of settled into something that you can call your own these days?
yeah, I definitely, there's definitely a sound that's the TOBi sound.
Yeah.
And I would, that's what I call unapologetic soul music, because it's taking bits of soul music, traditional soul music, and fusing it with contemporary sounds.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm definitely still growing it every day. I don't think it's stopping anytime soon. Uh, I'm always open to growth and exploring new stuff.
Mhm. On that note of fusing like influences from decades past with that more modern sound, like yeah,
Yeah,
you mentioned Dre, you've mentioned some of your big influences over time, a lot of American artists there. With that more modern stuff, I'm wondering about yeah, as a Canadian, how much of what's going on with Canadian hip hop these days is seeping into what you're doing? Like, does being up here, being rooted in this scene alongside folks I want to talk about soon, like Hawaii and Jazz, who you've got on the 24 remix. But yeah, just wondering how much
yeah,
what's going on up here is influencing you and making its way into your work.
absolutely, man. I love competition. I love seeing my peers come up because for me that's inspiring and it's motivating for me. So there's artists that I love to tap into. Like you said, Hawaii, Jazz. Jesse Reyes, Looney. Uh, yeah, Claremont the second. There are a lot of artists out here that are really doing their thing, and they're folks that inspire me in my artistry for
Mm.
sure. And I just want to see Toronto and Canada as a whole be at that level, where for we're recognized for our variety of artists, not just one sound, but so many different styles come out of here.
Oh, I agree completely, and I think we are starting to earn a lot more attention, especially from south of the border and internationally. And yeah, that's something that like I've heard talked about quite a lot over the last few years, is like the idea of there not really being a cohesive Canadian hip hop community and infrastructure here to support it. So a lot of artists either came up in a lot of cases doing their own thing, or had to go south of the border to really find their success. Like, do you see that changing with some of the artists that you just mentioned? Do you feel a sense of community and like kinship with some of these other folks in the game, and maybe we're starting to actually form a bit of a scene community up here that can sustain itself?
I mean, I hope so. I think when you're in a market that isn't really, I guess, mature as like LA or New York, um, that there can be like an identity crisis of sorts. But I think we're moving into a stage where you have artists that can be alternative and mainstream and just different and eclectic, actually gain success outside outside of Canada and on a global world stage. That's my mission. You know, I want to do that for myself, and with that, open the lanes for people who don't make, you know, who don't make songs that fit a certain mold. They can just be free and express themselves however they want.
Mm.
Um, I see us getting there for sure, for sure. It's already happening.
Right on. Yeah, I want to go back, if only because you've got three of my absolute favorites here alongside yourself. But yeah, that Toronto remix of 24, I think by calling it the Toronto remix, that's almost a statement in itself. And you've got four guest MCs that, yeah, very unique across the board, but also I think kind of at the top of their respective games doing something very, very cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, tell me a bit about what informed the decision to put out those specific invites, Shad, Havaya, Jazz. How'd you go about getting everybody rounded up for that one? And yeah, I would just love to get a bit of insight on what went on behind the scenes to bring that together.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you saw when J. Cole and Dreamville they did the Revenge of the Dreamers camp. Essentially, they just got all their favorite artists in one house, and
Mm.
they created this compilation album. And I was, and that light bulb kind of went off. I was like, how come that'd be dope if I did something like that here? You know, not on a full album scale, but at least on a song.
Mm.
So that's definitely what inspired that. Like, I just love I love the spirit of competition, you know, and those are MCs, those are rappers that I respect their artistry, and I knew that they would bring it on the song. So that's what I care about, man.
Yeah.
You know, I care about a challenge, and I feel like everyone was challenged to come hard, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, really digging the track. Um, yeah, on the other side, talk a bit about your lyricism here. You've mentioned that you really inspired by like poetry, in addition to a lot of your musical influences, Gil
Absolutely.
Scott-Heron, Naira Waheed, you've mentioned before.
Mm,
Just wondering if, again, you found a community up here at home that's you know, been able to indulge that, whether there's some writers here either that you look up to or have like developed a bit of a kinship with, or if a lot of the stuff that you're into is coming from elsewhere. Not to say that it's got to just be one or the other, but
nah, no worries, man. I grew up. I got some of my wings in the poetry community in Toronto, actually.
mm,
You know, with the Toronto slam poetry, um, the Rise community. They're amazing poets in all of those spaces. And you know, I didn't compete in the slam poetries, but I was around there. You know, sharpening my sword with other poets as well. So it's an integral part of of my artistry. Like it really contributes a lot to it.
mm.
Um, you know, as far as the poets from over here, see, I don't know if you may be familiar with their work, but you know, a man like Scribe, um, um,
New to
who
me,
else?
admittedly, ignorant.
Pardon?
I said that's new to me, admittedly, but
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, no worries, no worries. But yeah, I mean, Toronto has amazing poets, honestly. Really, really has amazing poets. There's a strong community here. And yeah, people just have stuff to say and they're just socially informed, you know? That's a
mhm.
big part of it too.
Right on. Uh, I guess on that note, then, of what's going on socially, politically, yeah, you've said before that you write on the basis of, you know, what do you feel in the moment? Um,
Right.
and I mentioned because I mean, the moment we're in right now and have been for a few months is powerful, unprecedented, you know, lots going on and coming to a head. Just wondering how current times are informing your writing and creativity, and whether you've noticed a shift in what you've been outputting, say, since like March 2020 when so much of this mess got started.
Yeah, you know, if you know, if we really want to unpack how I really feel about a lot of this stuff, I mean, we're going to be talking for a while, man. But you know, the truth is, you know, I think a lot of the social injustices that we've witnessed in the last couple of months, it it's just pronounced. It just feels more pronounced because we're all stuck inside, you know, and we see it every day on camera. But it's been happening for years, you know. It just feels more urgent now because we don't have that many distractions. We don't have festivals to go to and movies to go watch to, you know, distract us. But it's frustrating, man. It's really been frustrating because, you know, as an artist who talks about these things in
Mhm.
their music prior to 2020,
Right.
it's like when does it stop? It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, when does a real change occur where you don't have to keep putting this message out into the world? And that's probably the toughest part of this.
Mhm.
But you know, where I'm at right now is the things that are in my control, you know, focusing on that and my joy, my personal well-being, you know, and like nobody can take that away from you.
Mhm.
So even when it feels like, you know, the walls are crumbling outside, it's like what's going on inside your personal space. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. And I enjoin folks to do who are fighting, who have been fighting the 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 fight against injustice way before all of this happened. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm here for right now, and that's what my project coming up actually alludes to as well. The
Oh,
joy.
yeah, would love to hear what has been bringing you joy amidst these strange times.
Um, my family, my community of artists, my community of um, friends, and you know, there are people who really bring hope to the world. You know, based on their actions, based on their initiatives, and you know, I believe that there are more people willing to make this world a better place than not. Um, so yeah, that's really inspiring and it's hopeful.
Mhm.
And also myself too. You know, I'm not looking for answers outside of myself. So that's an important thing to tap into for sure.
Yeah. Well, I've got to ask then because I maybe sensed a bit of pessimism, but yeah, you've mentioned you've been open, candid about these issues since long before there was really the kind of mainstream spotlight on them the last few months.
Absolutely.
And it's something that we've heard talked about through that moment that, this has happened in the past and gone in waves before, that public consciousness moves and then shifts away. Um, but I mean, we have heard too some fairly important voices saying that this time does feel a little bit different. And that
Right.
was earlier on. Like now, though, that things are starting to open up again and like open up again on the economic side, and these restrictions are lifting, and there are more things for people to do. That, as you were saying, our intention isn't, laser focused on one thing because we're all shut inside. Like, yeah, I'm just wondering whether you're hopeful at all that some of this will and can continue, or if you think it's going to be just another blip in the cycle.
I mean, you know, the way you just put it right there, that's pretty succinct. It's exactly what I've been thinking. Albeit, you know, my perspective is probably a little more pessimistic, simply because, you know, I think of like when Tupac dropped Changes, that was 20 years ago.
Right.
And the song made a resurgence in 2020. Like, it's it's still relevant. You know, people think he wrote it last month. You know what I mean? You ask somebody born in 2000 when this song came out, aside from the fact that it doesn't sound like a 2020 hip hop record, thematically, it's on point. So, you know, for I will always retain hope, always. And that's not going anywhere because, like I said, as long as you're an agent of change, that's you know that's the limiting limiting factor right there, as long as you are an agent of change. So I'll always retain hope regardless, but time will tell.
Um,
Absolutely.
well then, yeah, I guess we've got a bit of insight into what you're thinking and maybe what might be coming out musically. But yeah, just the idea of like creativity, whether it's on the production side, actually turning some of what you're feeling into lyrics. But have you found yourself more or less creative through self-isolation? Like, how did that whole thing influence what you were outputting, what you were working on, who you were working with?
No, I think my creativity has been if the same, if not um, more actually, because I've actually taken the time to read some of the books that I've been putting off for so long, because I've been inside and going out on walks and in nature and going to the beach and connecting with artists. I've been connecting with artists and producers all over the globe on Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
which has been pretty good. It's been really good actually. So yeah, the creativity has been. I give thanks. It's been coming. So hopefully it stays for sure.
Um, well, I guess, yeah, huge kudos, by the way. I mean, it's just been an upward tangent the last year, some especially for someone that maybe was late to the game. But I mean, the RCA announcements right about to drop. Congrats on that. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, just wondering kind of where these next steps are. Like, what's the goal? Dollars and cents sees light of day soon. LPs following that. Um,
Hmm.
what's in the cards for you the next like 6 months? What would you ideally like to see happen with the record and with what you're going to be doing, even though obviously there's a lot of uncertainty still tied to that?
Absolutely. Well, my goal has always been to be a global artist, to have my music reaching people in all corners of the world. And I think still was a good base, a good foundation for that to happen. And I want this next project to even move that to another sphere of things. And I'm creating and working on some, I'm always working on music. So there's another project in the pipeline. But
Nice.
this one is a more uh, central focus project. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely just trying to reach the people, man. Reach the people. This project is about joy. It's about feeling the different parts to your identity, you know, and exploring how multifaceted we all are. And that's why it's called elements, you know, because within each unique person, there's so many different elements that contribute to who we are in our DNA. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just trying to hit the globe, man.
Um, not to be nosy, but Brampton based for a while. Is Brampton still home for you?
Yeah, it is. It
Okay.
is. Well, I'm not currently there right now, but yes, it is home.
Global artist. I mean, yeah, we've seen it with a lot of our bigger exports moving south of the border, or at least having a foot down there to be able to work fluidly. Like, do you see yourself spending more time in the U.S. as things continue to climb?
Yeah, when things clear up a little bit too, because right now, there I don't know what's going on over there, man. But yeah, absolutely. Um, a lot of my collaborators on my next projects, they're in Los Angeles, so I'll definitely be spending more time there when it's safer to do so.
Yeah, right on. I'm, yeah, stolen enough of your time and more than appreciate it. Really looking forward to writing this one and especially spending more time with the new tracks. Yeah,
Absolutely, I appreciate that, man.
I
Thanks for
totally.
having me.
Oh, of course. Looking forward to it. I'll let Sil know all went well here. And yeah, cheers to a good rest of your day. And thanks again. And yeah, congrats on everything that's been coming your way. It's well deserved.
I appreciate it, Andrew. Have a good day.
Hey, cheers to you too.
Peace.